Hey, what's going on? Tony here, and I wanted to make this update video on the best sandpaper grits to use for each car paint system. All right, we've been getting people that are liking the post but are kind of still confused, excuse me, on the process. So here is what we're gonna do. So if you watch this YouTube video here below, this is a rough video, okay? It's just basically showing you visually what the sandpaper grits look like on a panel, okay? And then I kind of talk about what the best sandpaper grits are best to use for your paint jobs. But this video, I'm going to get a little bit more in detail, get more in depth. I'm going to cover the blog post for you in audio. I basically kind of rewrote it. I went through it, I added, I rewrote it, and I got it a little bit more clear and hopefully easier for you to understand. So we're going to go over, I'm going to read it to you right now, not word for word, but I'm going to go over it and push this into your brain a little deeper because it's super important when painting. Okay, so number one, there are two different paint systems out there. Okay, you got single stage enamel and then you got base coat clear coat. Single stage enamel is what it is. It is how you hear it. It's a single stage. All you do is put your paint on, it's shiny when it dries, and you're done. Base coat, clear coat, you spray your base coat, whatever color it is, it's going to dry flat. It's going to dry matte. You're going to have to put clear coat on it to protect it and to make it gloss. Okay, that's base coat, clear coat. That's the newest systems used today on all the cars that you look at, all the brand new cars coming out. That's all base coat, clear coat. I've been using it for probably close to 20 years now, okay? Base coat, clear coat systems. Now they got the waterborne paint systems, which is the same thing as base coat, clear coat, but a different makeup, okay? It's a different chemical, different makeup. Waterborne, supposed to be better for the environment, but still till today, 80 to 90% of auto body shops are still using solvent base coat, clear coat systems. All right, so we are going to focus on these paint systems today. You got single stage and base coat, clear coat. And it's important to know the sandpaper grits are the final sandpaper grits because with single stage, you have a little bit more room and are allowed to sand with a lesser, finer sandpaper for a finished product, okay? Although I recommend 400 grit as a final sand, okay? When painting a base coat, clear coat, you want to finish sanding your primers with 400 grit and then you lay your paint on it. I also do the same thing with enamels or single stage enamel systems. You can cut and cheat and go a little coarser, like end with a 320 or so. Don't mind, they're doing some construction next door. You can end with a 320 or so when doing enamels. So just keep that in mind. All right, so watch the video below. Now let's go over the auto body paint sandpaper grit breakdown quickly, okay? So you got your 32 and your 40 grit sandpapers, which is great for cutting down your heavy body work. So if you're doing a big body work area, you got some body filler on it, you're doing a custom paint job, you're doing custom work, building out a fender, or you're building out a wide body kit, whatever you're doing, you got a lot of rust spots and holes that you're covering and patching an area, right? You want to use the 32 to 40 grit to initially cut down your mound. Okay, so say this is your flat panel and you have like a mound of body filler on it. You want to use a 40 grit with a DA, with a straight inline sander, or even by block to just cut that down, get the body, get it pretty much straight. You don't want to cut down too much because you're going to have to add more Bondo body filler to it. You want to just cut it down just so it gets to the foundation area level where it's pretty much rough draft shaped. 40 grit, okay? And then after that, you want to move to 80 grit. Sometimes if you're doing body work and you're just filling little dents in your shaping, you could just go start straight with 80 grit to do your cutting and your shaping, okay? 40 grit is just for those extreme body work areas where you're building out a custom body panel and you're putting a lot of Bondo on it, a lot of body filler on it, and you just want to cut down, okay? So then you get to 80 grit. With 80 grit, you're going to finish your body work. You're basically going to get it formed and shaped to where you want it with 80 grit. Okay, we're going to cut it, and I show you all of this in step-by-step detail within the VIP members area. We have a lot of people going through the course, loving the program, sending me testimonials and results every single day and before and after pictures. It's amazing, so check that out if you have time. So after your major body work is done with 80, you have a couple of methods. Like I say right in here, I've heard people spraying a thick polyester filler putty right over your 80 grit cut. Okay, and John Kosmowski, founder of House of Color, does it this way. You basically get it down with 80 grit, you mix up a polyester putty. You're going to need a 2.0 to a 2.2 tip size for your spray gun to spray this super thick material, but it fills up literally everything. Okay, so you could do that, finish with 80, spray a polyester putty on top of it if you want to, and then when that's done, you're going to have to block it out and sand it or cut it with a DA with 150 to 180 grit paper and get that pretty much flat. Then, if you go this way, then you're going to have to put a 2K primer filler on top of that and then block it out with a 400 grit, okay, like a 320 and then a 400 grit paper for final paint. Or you could do it my way by eliminating the whole process, which I talk about right here, which is you go from your 80 grit Bondo cut, okay, your body filler cut to the shape, then you take it down to a 220 to a 240 grit. So basically, putting the 220 or 240 grit pad on your DA, covering it, cutting it down, getting it extra smooth, okay, to a 240 grit. Or you could even do it by block. Then that's pretty much sanded out pretty smooth, okay? And then you could lay a 2K primer filler right on top of that, which is going to fill nicely because it's still thick primer. You're going to fill it up. Then you could refinish it by sanding it and blocking it out with a 400 grit water sand. Okay, once you do that, you could actually dry sand it or water sand it. I like water sanding because I think it has a nicer, cleaner cut to it, and you can cut it down, plus your paper lasts a little longer. Okay, you cut it down with 400 grit, and you're basically ready for paint. Okay, if you have any imperfections during that process, like a couple of chips, little scratches that you see, you can use a polyester glaze putty to glaze that area, and then reblock it out, and then you may want to prime gray that just to get it the same color because you don't want to paint your base coat on top of glaze putty. Okay, you want to paint over primer all the time. Okay, so you may want to dust that lightly with primer again, scuff it up good with 400, and then you're ready for paint. Okay, that's the system. Single stage, like I said, you can sand, you could finalize with a 240 to 280 grit if you want to. Okay, so it's pretty much a wham bam thank you ma'am job, like I said. And I show you a step-by-step complete paint job that we did on a car under a tent outside using a single stage enamel, using a coarser grit, and it came out amazing. Okay, so check that out in the VIP members area if you are a VIP. And again, remember, synthetic enamel paint jobs are a cheaper paint job. It's great if you want to get a fast paint job out the door. You basically have a car, sand it down with like a 280, get it down, mask it up, and you could paint it. Okay, you don't have to go crazy about imperfections, and if you have a little metal showing, it's okay. This stuff covers really well. Okay, but be careful if you have a lot of metal, you may want to just dust coat it quickly and then go around the car and then put heavier coats on it to cover it. Okay, there's a lot of ways to do this, and again, in the VIP course, I show you all of this and more in step-by-step videos so you understand the process and so you actually see and visualize. You can see the whole process in front of you, okay, from the comfort of your own home. So check that out as well. And then we get into refinishing sandpaper grits below. Again, comment below if you have any more questions. Be sure to put your comments down below so I can help you and address them. And then we get into refinishing sandpaper grits. Okay, so after your base coat, clear coat paint job is done, you got your clear coat on it, we got refinishing grits, which is 1200 grit, 15, 2000, 25, and 3000. I normally like to use the 12, 15, and 2000. Some people want to spend the extra time and sand with 2500 and 3000 grit before buffing, but you're going to put more time into sanding it and getting it down that far, okay, anyway. Or you're going to put a little bit more time in buffing. You're just going to spend a little more time, a couple of passes. I feel 2000 to 2500 grit is the best grit to buff over with your compounds to get that pro gloss. And again, I show you all of this in step-by-step detail. So it is what it is. Some people say, oh, I like to go all the way down to 3000. If you want to go sand down to 3000, then sand down to 3000 and then buff it out, okay? But in that area zone is where you want to be, the 1500 to 3000. I like to end with 2000 grit, and then you buff it out. Boom, done, okay? So remember that. So that's pretty much it with the sandings, okay? The sandpapers, okay? You got your coarser grits, then you got your end final grits, which is your 400 grit, to paint over base coat, clear coat, or single stage enamel. You could even cheat, like I said, and end with a 280 to 320 if you wanna do a single stage enamel paint job. I've heard of people painting over 240. I think maybe I've done it once with no issues. But usually 280 to 320 is a sweet spot for painting over with painting a single stage enamel system. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And then you got your 1500s to 3000 grits for refinishing and color sanding and buffing, taking out runs, taking out dry spots, taking out imperfections in paints, and then buffing to a flat pro finish gloss. And I always say flat in my vocabulary because it's, when you sand, every paint has a texture. So you're going to have some paints with very bad texture, which people call orange peel. And then you have people with a little bit of paint texture. It doesn't really look like orange peel, but it's not that glossy, shiny. All of this can be sanded out flat with a block, right? With your block. I got a phone here. But it could be sanded out with a 2000 grit. Okay, if you feel like a 2000 is not cutting quick enough, again, and if you know you have a lot of clear coat on your panel, you can cheat and cut with 1200 grit, get it down. And if you're even good and you know what you're doing, you have the hang of this, right? You could even cheat extra and use a DA, an orbital sander, put 1200 grit on it, cut it like I do. But I show you both methods in the VIP course. I show you how to do it by block, by taking your time if you're a newbie, if you don't want to make a mistake and burn through your clear coat. And I also have step-by-step videos showing you how to just cut and cheat with the DA with 1200 grit, cut it down 1200, and then you could basically go with a 2500 or a 2000 by hand or by DA, finish it off, and then buff it out for a professional flat like glass paint job. All right, so it's Tony. I hope you enjoyed this video. Watch the other video below to learn more. Read the post, get it in your brain, because this is all you need to know when it comes to sandpapers and paint systems and getting your car, your paint job ready for paint. And again, this doesn't just end with cars. You could do this on a guitar. You could do this on cabinets. You could do this on whatever you want to do. All right, so it's Tony. And also be sure to check out the Atom spray gun lines. Amazing spray guns. You really will love them. Talk soon. Have a good day. Comment below. Give a like up if this is on YouTube. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Oh, don't forget to get the free 85-page auto body and paint manual. If you haven't, just click in this video like right around here. It'll take you to download the manual and enjoy. Bye-bye.